mind that we have not yet updated these scenarios to if you're for a female user. Now the reason why is because up until May, this was for Fort Benning, so they train armor, the tanks and infantry, and up until that point, it was just all males, and then they'll start integrating it in. So we have that almost ready. We just have not integrated it in. So it's just going to say, if anything, it'll say "sir." Okay. Now, as you can probably guess, this is really it's one-on-one type training. These are new novices, younger. So, it's people, they've just learned the skills, they're young, obviously, if you're 25, you probably age through this. So we have sort of a bounded domain. It's in essence going to be akin to multiple choice. There'll be answers that come up, and you pick the one you want. We're trying to teach the iCare Lisa Care strategies versus, oh, here's exactly what you need to say in this type of situation, because as you all know, there can be any situation under the sun, and we want to give them a mental toolkit, if you will, in order to be adaptable, in the future, because you can never make a scenario for every single thing. So it'll be a few choices. The other thing is each of the actual choices or the responses that you can give, they're linked back to the learning objectives, which drives the after action review. And then for all these scenarios, we vetted them with subject matter experts with the Army, but obviously, you could have 3 subject matter experts, you might get 5 to 7 different answers. So you'll see in the AAR how we try to address that in so much that you're never going to make something that's going to be everything to everyone. It's just not possible. All right, now the way you're going to interact is you're going to press and hold, it's push to talk like a walkie-talkie. So you'll press and hold down this button here, say which line it is, and then let go. So that you're, in essence, the system is knowing is knowing when to listen.
And the rest of the class uses clickers that look like this.
Yeah. Now what you'll see on this screen here is what the person in the dive interacts with. The deployment versions, it's bigger. This is just what we had for a screen. You can kind of see what it looks like there. So we work, since we're near Hollywood, we work with set designers and Hollywood writers to build both the scripts, but also when we do location-based installations, we leverage our contacts in the industry.
So the background behind this engagement is this is Staff Sergeant Garza. He's been deployed with his team. You're new to the unit. You haven't deployed with them, so they have all this shared experience that you do not have. He's been a really great performing soldier, except he's been getting into it with his platoon sergeant. The platoon sergeant is his supervisor. You're the platoon sergeant's supervisor. So while he directly reports to the platoon sergeant, you also have to know what's going on in your unit. So although he's talked to the platoon sergeant already, you and the platoon sergeant have had a conversation, and he's asked you to talk to Staff Sergeant Garza as well to find out what's going on.
Hey, Lieutenant, you wanted to see me?
Yeah, how are you guys doing since being back?
Yes.
Outstanding.
Yeah, when you press that, you press hold it down, say your line, and then let go.
Are they performing well on the job?
They're up to my standards.
Okay, look, I called you in here because of how you've been acting toward platoon sergeant.
What are you talking about, Lieutenant?
You know why you're in here. Why don't you tell me what's going on?
I'm sorry, but really, I don't know.
This situation with SFC Robinson is getting out of hand.
Not because of me.
It's when you've been counseled on it as many times as you have.
You're right, so what happens next?
I want to find out what's been going on with you and SFC Robinson. What beef do you have with them?
Nothing, it's all good.
Spit it out, because I really don't have time for this.
Never mind, man. Can I go now?
You're not leaving until you tell me what's going on.
Fine. Sergeant Robinson is a joke. A straight-up joke.
I've heard enough. You're dismissed until you're back in here with a formal counseling session.
You got it.
All right, good job. There are a lot of good teachable moments. So, as Julie was saying, really what's going on here with the person in the dive, they're just learning the how, because they've just been shown this and they're doing the best they can. Everybody in the class, they're kind of learning the what and the why in real time. If you look at here, this is the instructor control panel that the instructor sees in real time. So they'll be seeing, how the class is doing, and obviously we sort of simulated the clickers, but they'll be seeing. So if everybody's literally not getting it, they could just pause the system. There's a God mic where he can talk from above and tell this person, hey, you know what? Hold on, stop, come on back to the classroom and let's review, whatever skills they might be deficient in, or they can just let it go to the end. But we should, they'll be seeing in real time the decision tree, so the matrix, what all of the decisions are. So, if basically red is, least optimal, yellow is mid, and the green is the ideal answer. Obviously, it's not always going to be right in every instance, but that's at least how we designed it's going to be. And then, since military instructors, they could be driving tanks 3 weeks, in the past, and then now, hey, you're going to be an instructor. They're not trained teachers. They're not trained professors. So we want to be able to augment their ability because they've just been thrown into teaching whatever it is they've been assigned to teach. So with the suggested instructional agenda, it takes out, what the system feels are the salient points of what went on. So either what the person in the dive might have missed, or you can list it via the class. But it's going to show what that person picked at each instance, and then you can see, okay, well, for number, we'll do number 6. So the whole system updates, and then this is what the classroom is seeing while they're discussing. So for number 6, we picked, it's when you've been counseled as many times as you have. Well, that's not ideal because you didn't, describe the negative behavior impact. So we're telling the instructor, okay, this is why. So if they disagree with it, they at least know why the system did what it did. It's not broken. It's just, well, that's how it was assigned. And then there's suggested talking points that we try to help lead them and facilitate that guided discussion. Because once everybody in the classroom starts talking, it's great. I mean, we've done studies, and there's high engagement. There's more learning that's taking place, and we really want to facilitate that conversation. And then you could also list it via how everybody did as an aggregate. So obviously, avoid, that's something you probably should review with the class before you go on to another scenario.
So you can look at this as just a platform. So right now, this is to train officers how to do a counseling session. But the USC School of Social Work came out and they saw it and they're like, you know what? We can use that to help our clinicians learn to interact with vets. So they had their own learning objectives, their own principles for motivational interviewing. So we took their learning objectives and they helped us develop branching scripts. And then we have this guy in some civilian clothes, and now they have a completely different interaction, teaching something completely different. But what's great about it is, again, it's a practice environment. They can break down those skills, and they can see what those skills look like given a dialogue example.
And we've also done studies before we deployed this is, okay, is a virtual human actually going to be useful? Or are you just, throwing money down the hole? Well, it is. We did a study with the Navy version that you could see in that photo behind you, where we brought in Naval ROTC from UCLA in here, because USC wasn't in session. So they came in and they interacted with the virtual human, and then somebody dressed up exactly like them, same voice, so the same voice actor, reading, the actual responses. So it was a one-to-one comparison. And then we worked with Draper Laboratory, and they put the how do you pronounce it?
Biophysiological feedback sensors. So we did eye tracking, we did heart rate, we did skin conductance. Someone wanted to know, were people just as engaged with a virtual human as they were interacting with the real human? And they were. There were no significant differences, except with the eye gaze, which is expected because right now we don't have him hooked up to technology where you can follow your eyes. And they also weren't as comfortable interacting with a real human using the branching dialogue. But they were perfectly comfortable interacting with a virtual human using a screen, because we're used to that if we're gamers. So.
And it's great because he doesn't get sick, he doesn't go on strike, and it's a consistent performance every single time. So you're able to then run studies. Yes?